The moment you stop caring how you look, you begin disappearing, not from the world, but from yourself. Here is something most men will never say out loud. The decline doesn't come from failure, hardship, or bad luck. It comes from something smaller, quieter, and far more dangerous. It comes from neglect. Day after day, letting the small things slide. Wrinkled clothes, slouched shoulders, a face that looks like it surrendered before the morning even started. And slowly, that carelessness becomes the man. Stoicism has always known what psychology is only now beginning to prove. Your exterior is not decoration. It is evidence. Evidence of the battles you fight internally. Evidence of how seriously you take your own life. In a world that measures you in milliseconds, your appearance is the first sentence of every story you ever tell. And if that sentence is sloppy, distracted, or defeated, so is every sentence that follows. So today, we are going to talk about something most self-improvement content gets completely wrong. We are not here to help you look better to impress anyone. We are here to help you build a relationship with your own standard. 7 principles drawn from Stoic philosophy that will rewire how you think about your appearance, your identity, and the kind of man you are choosing to become every single morning. Because when your outside finally matches the man you are committed to becoming, the universe stops arguing with you. It simply steps aside. Are you ready? Let's begin. Principle 1. Your appearance is a declaration, not a display. Before you speak a single word, people have already formed a picture of you. Not because humans are shallow, but because humans are ancient. We are wired to read signals, posture, cleanliness, expression, movement, and make rapid decisions based on what those signals say. Long before language, survival depended on recognizing who showed up with intention and who showed up in chaos. Your appearance is not about clothing or cologne. It is about energy, order, signal. When you step into a room looking tired, unkempt, and careless, you send a message, not just to others, but to yourself. You broadcast that the standards you hold for your life are negotiable. That comfort matters more than excellence, that you have quietly surrendered to the version of yourself you are trying to outgrow. But flip that signal and watch everything change. When you walk in composed, posture upright, clothes deliberate, grooming attended to, something invisible shifts in the room. People do not always know what they are responding to. They simply feel it. They sense that a man who holds himself to that standard holds everything in his life to that standard. And that intuition is almost never wrong. Stoic thinkers from Marcus Aurelius to Epictetus emphasized this alignment between the inner life and the outer expression. They did not separate physical discipline from philosophical discipline. They understood that how you show up in your body reveals how you show up in your mind. This is why your appearance is not vanity. It is a declaration. Every morning you are making a statement about who you believe yourself to be. Make it loud, make it clear, make it true. The way you show up to small things is the way you show up to everything. What is your daily appearance saying about you right now? That question deserves an honest answer. Principle 2. Presence is a language. Learn to speak it fluently. Your body communicates constantly. Your posture carries tone. Your movement carries intention. Your gaze carries weight. And in nearly every social interaction, these non-verbal signals speak louder, travel farther, and land harder than any words you ever say. Most men do not understand this. They work on what to say while ignoring how they arrive. They rehearse arguments while letting their physicality tell a completely different story. They wonder why people don't take them seriously, while standing curved, eyes drifting, energy scattered. Stoicism teaches that your bearing reflects your character, not as metaphor, but as mechanism. When the inside is disciplined, The outside will show it. When the inside is turbulent, the outside will leak it. The body does not lie, and people, even unconsciously, are brilliant at reading what the body leaks. So the question is not whether your presence is speaking. It is always speaking. The question is what it is saying. When your shoulders are back, your chin is level, and your movement is unhurried, you project something that cannot be faked with words alone. Certainty, groundedness, a man who is at home in himself. And people respond to that differently. They do not challenge it. They do not test it. They simply recognize it and adjust their behavior accordingly. Think about the spaces you move through: a gym, a meeting, a social gathering. Some people enter and the atmosphere subtly shifts, not because they demanded attention, but because their presence simply announced that something organized had arrived. That is not confidence through volume. That is confidence through alignment. You do not need to be the most powerful man in the room. You need to be the most intentional one. Quiet grooming, steady posture, a gaze that neither avoids nor demands. These compose a presence that communicates control without aggression, strength without theatrics, and authority without effort. Stoics understood that when internal order is solid, external chaos loses its grip, and presence is the purest visible form of internal order. Carry yourself with intention. Let the room feel you before it hears you. When your presence speaks fluently, words become secondary. Principle 3. Discipline dresses itself. Vanity just gets dressed. Here is the distinction men almost always miss. Vanity and discipline can both produce the same outcome: a man who is well-groomed and presentable, but they come from entirely different places and lead to entirely different destinations. Vanity is fragile. It asks, do they think I look good? It needs a mirror and an audience. It collapses without feedback. Discipline is unshakable. It asks, does this reflect the standard I have chosen to live by? It does not need an audience. It survives in an empty room. When Marcus Aurelius governed Rome, arguably the most powerful position in the ancient world, he was known for simple, clean, dignified presentation, not because he needed to impress senators, because orderliness in his appearance was an extension of orderliness in his thinking and his governance. The outer reflects the inner. That was not philosophy for the Stoics. That was practice. Daily, deliberate, uncompromising practice. And here is the psychological truth layered underneath that practice. When you take intentional time in the morning to clean yourself up, to dress with care, to stand tall and check your posture, your brain registers something critical. You are awake. You are engaged. You have chosen to show up. That small shift, repeated daily, rewires the way your mind approaches the rest of the day. Your appearance becomes a switch, and you control the switch. This is the move from vanity to discipline. Vanity waits for a reason to look good. Discipline makes looking good the reason. One is reactive, the other is sovereign, and in Stoic philosophy, sovereignty over yourself is the only power that truly matters, because it is the only power that can never be taken from you. Start small. Iron your clothes the night before. Commit to a grooming ritual. Choose what you wear with a purpose in mind, not just to avoid looking wrong. These are not shallow habits. These are the rituals of a man who takes himself seriously, and a man who takes himself seriously tends to be taken seriously by the world. Discipline dresses itself. Vanity just gets dressed. Principle 4. Control what you own. Release what you do not. One of the most powerful and liberating ideas in all of Stoic philosophy is this: there are things within your control and things completely outside it. Your task is to invest your full energy into the former and develop genuine indifference to the latter. Other people's opinions, not yours. Their assumptions, their projections, their prejudices, not yours to manage, but your posture, yours, your grooming, yours, the energy you walk into a room with, completely, entirely, non-negotiably yours. Most men do the opposite. They spend enormous energy worrying about perception while neglecting the one variable that actually shapes it: how they present themselves. You cannot force someone to respect you, but you can make yourself impossible to dismiss. You cannot compel someone to see your worth, but you can appear like a man who has never once doubted it. And that difference, that gap between what you project and what they assume, is your greatest untapped leverage. A man who shows up to his daily life looking sharp, clean, and prepared sends a message before he speaks. The message is, I hold myself to a standard, and that standard becomes the invisible reference point by which everyone around him calibrates their behavior, not because he demanded it, but because discipline is magnetic. Even the people who resent your discipline end up respecting your standard. This is why appearance matters to a Stoic, not for approval, for alignment, for the clarity of knowing that in a world full of things you cannot govern, you have governed yourself. So build your daily ritual of ownership. 2 focused minutes in the morning, stand upright, run water through your hair, straighten your collar, review your posture, breathe slowly, arrive intentionally. These small acts accumulate. They remind you every single day that you are not at the mercy of the world because you have already taken command of yourself. You cannot shape what they see in you, but you can be relentless about what you bring to be seen. Principle 5. When you change how you look, you change who you are. Most men approach self-improvement backwards. They set enormous goals. They make sweeping declarations. They wait for the right moment or the right motivation. And within days, the old identity reclaims them because they never actually changed the identity. They only changed the plan. Stoicism teaches something far more practical. Identity is not formed through dramatic decisions. It is formed through small, repeated actions. The 10,000 unremarkable choices that accumulated define who a person genuinely is. And here is what almost no one talks about. Appearance is one of the fastest triggers for identity reprogramming available to you. Now, every morning you choose to groom yourself with care, dress with intention, and step out looking like a man with standards. You send a signal to your own subconscious. That signal says, "This is who I am now." And your mind, your nervous system, your behavior, they all start aligning to match that signal. This is not ego. This is architecture. You are literally building the internal structure of a different man through external, consistent behavior. The man who dresses well walks differently. He speaks with more deliberation. He hesitates less. He tolerates less disrespect from others and less mediocrity from himself. His threshold for what is acceptable rises because his daily behavior is already proof that he holds a higher standard. Appearance becomes identity. Identity becomes behavior. Behavior becomes character. And character becomes destiny. Does that sequence sound familiar? It should, because it is Stoicism at its most precise. Epictetus did not wait to feel free before behaving with dignity. He chose dignity as a daily action, regardless of circumstance, regardless of external condition. He understood that who you are is constructed from what you do repeatedly, nothing more, nothing less. So use your appearance deliberately. Dress for the version of yourself you are building, not the version you are escaping. Every time you make a better choice in the mirror, you cast a vote for a different man. And enough votes, cast consistently, elect a new identity. The man in the mirror does not have to be a reflection. He can be a prophecy. Principle 6. Your appearance sets the emotional tone of your entire day. There is a loop that most men never learn to recognize, and it costs them dearly. It works like this. How you look affects how you feel. How you feel shapes how you think. How you think determines how you act. And how you act builds or dismantles everything you are trying to create. Your appearance is not external to your emotional experience. It is wired directly into it. When you roll out of bed and rush through the morning without care, wrinkled clothes, poor posture, no grooming, your brain picks up that signal. It registers disordered, unprepared, low priority, and it calibrates your emotional state accordingly. You feel sluggish, unfocused, reactive. The day happens to you rather than being directed by you. But when you slow down and attend to yourself, clean skin, structured outfit, deliberate posture, something shifts neurologically. Your brain registers, prepared, organized, intentional. Confidence is not something you feel first and then act on. It is something you perform first and then feel. Stoic philosophy confirms this understanding through the idea that the body and mind are not separate entities in opposition. They are a single system in constant dialogue. A cluttered physical environment tends to create a cluttered mind, but an ordered body consistently primes an ordered mind. Think about the last time you genuinely took care of yourself before heading out. How did you move? How did you speak? How did decisions feel? That was not coincidence. That was the loop working in your favor. Posture affects breathing. Breathing affects the nervous system. The nervous system governs emotional regulation. Emotional regulation governs the quality of every conversation, every decision, and every action you take. The chain is long, but it begins somewhere physical and small. Clean your face. Choose a fitted shirt. Stand tall before you walk out the door. Let those tiny adjustments set a neurological tone that carries you through the day. Because the man who prepares himself before the day begins tends to be the man still standing when the day ends. Your morning ritual is not maintenance. It is emotional and psychological architecture. Appear powerful, feel powerful, act powerful, and watch your life reflect that power back to you. Principle 7. When your appearance becomes a standard, your entire life rises to meet it. Here is where it all comes together. Here is where the surface level becomes structural. When you build a genuine daily practice around how you show up, when grooming, posture, and intentional presence become non-negotiable rather than occasional, something unexpected starts to happen. The discipline does not stay contained to your appearance. It bleeds, it spreads, it contaminates the rest of your life in the best possible way, because looking your best consistently requires you to live in a certain way. You need sleep, real, sufficient, uncompromised sleep. You need to hydrate your body and feed it well. You need to move, to exercise, to maintain the physical structure that makes clean presentation natural and sustainable. And once you start holding those habits for the sake of your appearance, you discover something surprising. You are no longer doing them just for your appearance. You are doing them because they are the behaviors of the man you have decided to be. The addiction shifts. You are no longer addicted to looking good. You are addicted to living in alignment. You begin auditing your environment. Your space should reflect your standard. You begin auditing your relationships. The people around you should reflect your standard. You begin auditing your habits, your diet, your sleep, your language, your goals. Everything goes through the filter. Does this match who I am choosing to become? This is Stoic excellence at its most practical. Not a philosophical ideal kept safely in books, but a physical, daily embodied practice that restructures your entire existence from the outside in. You no longer depend on motivation because you have built identity. You no longer tolerate the old version of yourself because you have physically practiced being someone better every single morning. The thought of returning to disorder, to carelessness, to the appearance of a man who has stopped trying, it becomes genuinely uncomfortable, almost offensive. That discomfort is your new standard protecting itself. So yes, become addicted. Not to attention, not to validation, not to the fleeting opinions of people who will forget you by next week. Become addicted to the feeling of showing up clean, prepared, and aligned with the man you are relentlessly, deliberately building. Because when your appearance reflects your standards, when your exterior is the truest possible expression of your interior, the world stops trying to diminish you. It simply gets out of your way. In closing, you have just moved through 7 Stoic principles that reframe appearance from something shallow into something architectural. Presence, posture, discipline over vanity, control over what you own. Identity reprogramming, emotional calibration, and the way standards once built refuse to stay small. If there is one truth threading through all 7, it is this: the man who governs his appearance has already begun governing his life. Do not just absorb this, act on it. Tomorrow morning, give yourself 5 deliberate minutes. Not rushed, not careless, not habitual. Deliberate. Dress for the man you are becoming. Stand the way that man stands. Move through the door with the intention of someone who has already decided what kind of day he is going to have. Small, consistent, intentional choices build men that the world cannot ignore. If this resonated with you, if something in these principles shifted something in you, I would genuinely love to know. Leave a comment below and tell me which principle hit hardest. And if this is the kind of content that serves you, please give it a like and come back to Stoic Horizon, because there is much more coming that you will not want to miss. Until next time, show up sharp. Show up with intention, and I will see you in the next video.